Today's episode is something I know many of us struggle with, and that is having energy and motivation after a long day at work. So, whether it is spending time with your family, working on a side hustle, or just taking time to work on things that matter to you, investing in yourself, there is that way in which when it's after 5, we feel sluggish and we don't have as much energy. And then for other people, you'll see that even after 5, even after they have had a very long day and everything, they are able to still get these small tasks done. Whereas other people literally can't even, let me say, go to the shower. So for anyone that struggles with having energy and motivation in the evening, I think this episode is for you. So stick around until the end as we talk through the tips and principles. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 5 to 9 Job podcast, where we focus on building the life that you want outside of the 9 to 5 hours. So, having more energy and motivation after work. I could use this example that I think most of us would relate with. We all know these people that are only productive until like 1 p.m., 12 p.m., 2 p.m. at most. They are these morning guys that, man, if you wanted to have anything done by them or anything like delivered by them, you'd need to give them in the morning. And then that is when they can get things done. In the evening, they are literally like, they lack energy, they are all sluggish and everything. And then on the other side, we all know these other guys that just seem to keep going. I mean, the guy is still pumping out emails at 5 p.m. This guy is going to so and so at 7 p.m. The guy is at home at 10 p.m. And then he's already back in office at 7. And you're like, wait, where does this guy get this energy from? And don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about these I'm going to call them robotic guys. These burnout zombies, the energy drink guys. No, I'm talking about these guys that do it in a sustainable and consistent way, in a kind of healthy hustle culture kind of way. And it's even worse actually when living the 9 to 5 time or living the daytime when it comes to after work, when you need to just do small things like get your workout in or prepare a meal, something like that. It gets harder and harder for people as the day continues to have more energy. And that is what we want to talk about here. So you see, after work, most of us just feel fatigued and genuinely exhausted. You may not need energy to like necessarily run a full business or work a second job. You might need small energy just to maybe be present with your kids, you know, to have a chat with madam, see a few friends, and that is what I want to help you with. Personally, for me, when I get home, the moment I sit on the chair, suddenly everything just feels very hard. I am mentally and just physically drained. And unfortunately, I always have something else I need to do, something like preparing dinner, and it is very frustrating. So I set out to look for how and why this happens to me, and this is what I found. So obviously, I'm going to start with the sciences, and here it is. One thing I found is that this isn't just your body being lazy. Psychologically, energy is about more than just physical exertion. It is, or for a lot of us, we aren't actually physically tired after work. We are just mentally drained because your brain has been running in overdrive all day, making these decisions, solving problems, and processing all these emotions. So it creates something that is called decision fatigue, whereby even the small tasks are going to start to feel overwhelming. And that's how, when you sit down, it feels so hard to get up, in other words. And once that is there, that is when that whole battle between discipline and everything else starts. And the harsh truth is that sometimes it's not actually about lacking energy. It could just be that you lack motivation because basically, or evolutionary, our brains are wired to prioritize comfort. So when given the decision, we default to things like watching Netflix instead of, let me say, making dinner or doing the dishes or tucking the kids in or just doing or finishing that report that you should have handed in today. So discipline has to come in at that point, and discipline can help you override this, but you need to train your brain to actually focus on what matters without forcing yourself or doing it in an unhealthy way. And that's why I asked myself what energy really is. And this is what I got. Energy at its core just comes from how efficiently your body uses fuel. So simply put, if you are feeling sluggish, it could be because you are not feeding your body with the right nutrients, or you are not moving enough to keep this whole circulation and metabolism active. And then one other thing that I kept saying to myself was that I was just lazy, you know? So I also wanted to understand that whole part. And I realized laziness isn't about being inherently unmotivated, you know? I actually realized that it's often your body's way of conserving energy when it feels depleted, more like an energy saving mode for the body. So if you are constantly tired, it just shows you, or it is a sign to look at your habits and not just your mindset. That kind of helped me to put this negative pressure off me and start making the right connections towards the habit, because I was belittling myself, to be sincere, of not having enough energy to, just do these simple things. Because I mean, if you are so lazy that you can't get up from the chair that you have just sat in 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 10 minutes ago, you might default to calling yourself lazy. But understanding that it is the habits that you have, the habits during the day, the habits after the day, before the day, all of them, how do you ensure that you have the right habits in place to make sure that you're giving yourself the best chance to default to the acts that help you to be disciplined, to be mentally energetic naturally? And that's where I got these simple tips from. I call them the 5 to 9 guide on how to beat post work fatigue. So, number one was to exercise in the morning. Simple exercises like stretching, going to the gym, maybe doing a flight of stairs, a quick walk. Exercise in general just helps you to kickstart your metabolism and release those endorphins. So it gives you an energy boost that can literally carry you all through the day. Even when you feel like, you know what, it's getting tough. So just a 20-minute routine, I mean, could make a very huge difference. So get some exercise in the morning, stretch, do gym, whatever your cup of tea is. Get some exercise in. Trust me, it's going to help you to have more energy throughout the day and even after the day. Number two is to have a schedule. So that consistency, that predictability helps you to have less decisions for your brain, which means that your brain is less tired. And when your brain is less tired, it allows you to have the mental capacity to drive yourself when you need that discipline, It helps you to make those tough decisions in the evening when you need to, let me say, forego something just to get another activity done. So that energy that you need is going to thrive around the structure that you build. If your day is chaotic, you're going to feel very scattered and very drained. So try planning your day a night before. Try something like blocking your time for work, block out time for meals, time for your 5 to 9 activities, so that you know what is next. It will just help you to reduce all this decision fatigue. Number three is the big D. And I'm talking about that, not what you dirty souls were thinking about. So watch what you eat. Food is the basic fuel that our body uses, and you need to watch what you put in your body. A simple tip here is to avoid heavy meals during the day, after the day, and focus on having more nutrient dense foods. Have you realized that after a heavy meal you start to feel sluggish? That's simply because your body is struggling to metabolize all this energy, all this food that you have ingested, and it's using all its energy and focusing all its energy there, that it's not actually, giving you the energy you need to maybe do a task that you want to do at that moment. So it makes you feel sluggish. So please try to avoid taking heavy meals, and also don't forget to stay hydrated. Dehydration is one of the main causes of fatigue, actually. So just watch that diet that you have. And then for the last one, here I'm going to attack you guys, but yes, it's about being mindful of overstimulation. You see, these dopamine spikes that we have, whatever way you are getting them, it could be through social media, it could be that you had an energy drink, or you had like things like caffeine, you have had lots of sugars. They literally backfire on you because they create these spikes that then have to be compensated with a really low, if you get what I'm saying. So, in other words, you will have energy for, let me say, like 1 hour, and then be down for like 4, 5, 6 hours just because you had that spike. So, too much stimulation in, let me say, like the evening is going to literally mess up your sleep cycle, leaving you even more tired for the next day. So, try to avoid the dopamine spikes. So, one is to do exercise, two is to have a schedule, four is to have a diet and have a good diet, mind your diet, and then three is to be mindful of overstimulation. Those are the four tips I have. And that's how basically you're going to beat fatigue. But like I said, I had this whole perspective that it was also because I was lazy. Though I now understand it could be that I was on power saving mode. But still, for when you are, let me say, feeling lazy, and you genuinely feel like, man, you know what? This might not be me on power saving mode. I'm just feeling lazy. Like the truth is, I am lazy. What do you do in that moment? So I also have tips for this. You guys, I'm just going to throw at you tips today. Tip on tip. Okay. One is to shift your mindset. So instead of saying I am too tired, try saying I need to recharge, you're giving yourself a positive mind frame that is going to help you to shift yourself into a motivation kind of state, to take those small meaningful steps that, instead of giving yourself or giving into fatigue, are going to help you out, to highlight that, you know what, you still have the capability to do this. So shifting your mindset is a very big one, and I believe it is the first point, because that will just help you to take all these small actions, or to take that first action that will help you to just get out of there. So even if you don't feel like doing much, you could just start with something small, and that is actually the second tip. So start small. Sometimes just starting is enough to build that momentum. You see, you could tell yourself that I'll work out for 5 or 15 minutes, and chances are you're going to keep going. You could start, let me say, washing dishes and say, I'm only going to wash the cups, but at the end of it all, you wash everything. And that's simply how it works. It's going to work miracles for you, trust me. So shift your mindset, start with the small steps, and please do not beat yourself up. We need you. The universe needs what you have to offer. And the best way to be of the most use to everyone around you is to get your own house in order, like Jordan Peterson says. So having more energy to share with everyone your gifts that you have, to lift others up, to see that you make it to be who you want to be, is one of the greatest contributions you could have. And I believe that having more energy to be that for you is going to help you. So without making this episode longer than it already is, thank you for listening to the podcast. I hope it helped you and will be one you listen to every time you feel low on energy. Kindly subscribe, like, and comment on the podcast, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye bye.